Are Oceanids bringing the splash damage in Tides of Torment? That's not just a title for clickbait. It's that too, sure. This is YouTube. But I saw Oceanids mop the floor with low-tier infantry in my test combat, and then I saw the stats and I said, "What?" blurting out loud. How can their melee attack be this low? And that happened. Sure, some units can put damage out faster, but still. Thus, we will actually discuss how splash damage works in their favor. So it wasn't just clickbait. Recruited for 1100 gold and 275 upkeep, on Ultra scale they come at 16 per unit, with 9440 health between them, or more health than trolls or minotaurs. You are paying more than for trolls. The Oceanids have 0 armor, but they have physical resistance 30% or superior to most demons, missile resistance 20% on top of that when it's non-magical arrows and bullets, and fire resistance 20% to resist that part of the damage spectrum. Leadership of 65 is not the highest, but it's not trolling, or rather troll level at all. Speed 54 and charge speed 75 is very much in that troll monstrous infantry range. Here's the part that made me drop my jaw. Melee attack starts at 24. How? How could the unit deal with ordinary stuff this well with such figures? Well, let's get into that. First, attack interval 3.5 seconds is significantly brisker than the norm. Splash target size medium means silver helms on down, and max targets damaged by splash is 4. And now let's talk about that. That is a maximum damaged targets. If 7 entities are hit by a single splash attack because it's such a wide animation, but the attack misses the first 2, what happens next? Well, I think the game does attack rolls for the others unless and until it reaches the maximum of 4 damaged by the splash. What I'm calling an attack roll is a percentage to hit based on the default of 35% modified by the difference between Oceanid's melee attack and the target's melee defense 1-1. If I get any part of this wrong because of my Swiss cheese memory, so be it. The principle is the point. Splash enough targets, up to 4 can suffer actual damage from an Oceanid entity, more may be knocked down or knocked about. Point being, if targets are low-tier infantry and their defense isn't beyond the level of okay, some level of damage is going out to them in a wide area, and that damage adds up unless you can beat the Oceanids down. And that will be difficult because melee defense begins at 55. That is a shockingly high figure, not only for the type of unit, but for the role of the unit. Thus we see the defender on the unit card come into play. Weapon strength 95 is split base 64 and armor piercing 31, which is plenty good enough for low armored infantry. We also see a bonus versus infantry of 14, which is pretty significant, raising melee attack to 38 and weapon strength to 109 against Empire swordsmen. So that's another reason why they're actually a lot more decent. It just looked especially ugly to start with. Charge bonus is 16 and mass is 1200. It should go without saying, but this is considered an aquatic unit and fights better in shallow water. The unit causes fear, is immune to contact effects like poison and blinded, is immune to fear and terror from being elemental, will disintegrate if completely broken rather than flee, and has Strider, which probably eliminates any bonuses in water. And perfect vigor, so it gets, for free, arguably the best trait in the entire game, never worsening in stats or speed from fatigue whatsoever. In the Redline skills, Master Strategist, the skill used for Swordmaster and War Lions units, offers melee attack and defense plus 6 at 3 pips, really good for them if you're speccing into those other units regardless. Silver Torrent, usually used for melee cavalry, offers rank 7 and up, speed plus 10%, weapon strength plus 12%, and another 15% missile resistance, which makes them even more resilient. In the tech tree, I'll let you know when we're into Aisland-specific techs. Recall Colonists gives plus 2% casualty replenishment rate for Oceanids and minus 5% upkeep for the same. Seaborne Creatures gives missile resistance plus 10%, plus 5% income from ports for the faction, and melee attack plus 5. Fire and Water grants plus 5% weapon strength. Allies of the Elements gives leadership plus 5, speed plus 5%, and melee defense plus 5, quite a package. Seems these next two are Aisland specific. Blessed Seawater gives +2 recruit rank, and Rising Tide gives weapon strength plus 10% and charge bonus plus 10 flat. So how do we use Oceanids? Oceanids have their weaknesses, but are otherwise such powerful blocking, holding, and sandblasting units against infantry, and are so annoying to fight in melee, an intelligent enemy has to either devote a lot of attention to shooting them, which will eventually work, or tie them down back, using something that's not going to simply roll over and die, but that keeps them from moving toward more valuable units. In other words, it's overperforming against normal stacks, but hits a wall when trying to deal with more elite forces. But since its job is to be a defender anyway, it's doing its job. Barring extremely specific cases, they're annoying to fight and effectively add mass and health to the roster, which High Elves can prosper from. So when fighting them, either commit to erasing one unit ASAP, or leave it alone, but there's enough speed to rip through your archers or handgunners if allowed to. You have to take it seriously and find a solution. Just remember, no armor means base damage is as effective as it's going to get, and magical attack isn't so rare that you can't find something with high base damage to speed up the process. Resistances notwithstanding, melee defense 55 before redline skills, before text, before veterancy means shooting is often better. Khorne strategists will need a couple of thoughts to work out the best unit for reducing the units to puddles. Conversely, quite a few opposing units can be aggrieved by its existence, so that gives you flexibility as a High Elf player to pin enemies down in positions you want to flank with Swordmasters, not hit directly with them. Take care and have fun with the monstrous infantry anvil High Elf players always wanted, but never had unless they waited this long and paid for it. Oh well, you're High Elves, you can afford it.